everybody. Amie Pederson here, business mentor and confidence coach, and your host of the Moms Making Money Show. Today, I have an extra special guest. This season, we've been talking all about, and it's kind of been like an ongoing season. We've been talking all about confidence, overcoming your fears, and really, really kind of just following your dreams and sticking to what it is that you really desire, whether that's starting a business or anything else. And my guest today, she's actually a personal friend of mine. She is a certified life coach, and she also specializes, and this I think is the coolest thing, she specializes in like body image issues and really, really focuses on working with mothers and their young daughters who are starting to come into that body image uncertainty, if you will, and how to really like introduce having like a good, positive conversation about that, especially in a world where society is full of, mom shame, body shame, everything, especially because a lot of people just sit behind their keyboards and type away. So if you're hopping on live, feel free to say hi and ask your questions. And if you're catching the replay, just type in replay. But I'm going to take it over to my friend Amanda. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started down this path.
All right. Well, hi, Amie. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. I'm excited and nervous at the same time. But I really come from where I struggled with this as a child, and then I see my daughter. I have an 11-year-old daughter who struggled with it, and for the last couple of years, I've watched her really pain through it, and I know what I went through, and I'm even into my early 30s. I struggled with it, and really, as humans, we all struggle with this on a daily basis. I mean, it's the ins and outs, but really being able to focus on showing them that there's a better way, that society, that stigmatisms, that, that real life is not the reality shows that you see, not the Instagram pictures, and not to compare themselves and judge themselves. And I just feel so strongly and passionate about this, that it's something that needs to be heard, and it's something that needs to be pressed on and pushed out there for everybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What made you originally decide, like, what, I want to get into, like, obviously, like, you have such a huge passion for this, but what made you finally decide to just say, like, what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to pull the trigger and I'm going to jump in and follow my dreams about this?
Well, I originally started out as a health coach, health and fitness, as where I strongly felt like it helped me a lot. And then as I've come along, I've just really found that it's something that really needs to be done. Like for my daughter. My daughter's my everything.
Right.
Like, I want her to feel good about herself. She's 11. She's gorgeous. She's not like this little tiny thing. And I don't want her to be tiny. I want her to be strong. I want her to feel strong and be strong and be proud of herself. And I want every little girl to have that. And that moment of watching her struggle with that was like, okay, something's got to be done. I've got to do something to help her. And it's just kind of evolved from there.
Yes, yes. And Nicole Santer, she says, hey, ladies. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Nicole.
Thanks for popping on. So with all of that, when you first decided, like, hey, I'm going to, because you do work, outside of the home currently, and you finally, you started getting into like health and fitness and all that. And now this has kind of like been like an evolution, which is great. I mean, it's really great because it all pairs up excellent together. What kind of resistance did you have, like, within yourself or from people around you about pursuing this, even if it was just the health and fitness stuff when you got started?
Well, originally imposter syndrome for myself, like really being able to like, I think, okay, really you're going to do this, but you still struggle with things yourself. Like just that real imposter, like, you can't teach somebody if you can't do it yourself. But if I'm one step ahead, I can show them. That was my biggest struggle. My husband was not right behind it to begin with. He still struggles with the idea of it. My family, like, they don't understand. They're more of the work, like the blue collar, like you go to work 9 to 6, 9 to 7. I mean, it's not just 8-hour days. Like these people are like 12-hour days, So this is hard for them to understand, but they support me in their own way.
Well, good, good. And I feel like that's super common. Oh, Nicole says, love your message, Amanda. Yes, it's such a powerful message. So super powerful. I don't know, Amanda, if you can see the comments as they pop up. No? Okay, I'll make sure to read them out loud then. So, sorry, I have like a little bit of the sniffles. I don't know if I'm having like allergies or if I'm like fighting off a cold or what, but so with all of that, you still persevered. And I wanted to point out that you guys are, or that you are like totally like doing such an amazing thing. Like you've been speaking to the Girl Scouts, you've been speaking to junior highs, you've been speaking, getting out there and speaking and spreading this message of, self-awareness and self-love and self-confidence and, kind of trying to combat these body image issues that so many of us face, like myself included, like, and maybe if you want, you can shed a little bit more light. Like women, I don't even know what the percentage is. I know it's high, like a super high percentage of women have that body dysmorphia, like where they look in the mirror and they're like, oh my God, this will never do. But somebody else looks at them and they're like, what are you even talking about? Like, I don't even see that. Like what little thing here or thing there or whatever. And I know we talked about this when we were on the retreat here in San Diego a little bit too, about how, it's like a real thing and it affects a lot of people. I mean, there's eating disorders on both sides of the spectrum. There's binge eating on one side and then there's, anorexia and bulimia on the other side. And then everything in between, even they're talking about now, and I don't know the term for this, but you probably do, like the women who are like habitual dieters. It's not just being a yo-yo dieter. It's like an actual thing. Like,
oh yeah. Yes. Yeah, you jump from one thing to another. But like, it's crazy. Like the young girls, right? Half of fourth graders end up with eating disorders or are on diets because they are struggle so much. Fourth graders, is that not ridiculous? Like, does that not like break your heart to think?
I think about my niece is a fourth grader and she's, like this big. She's the tiniest little human. Oh, that's sad. That's terrible. But that's when it starts. And, you think about I think about like my grandmother, she was always, it was Diet Pepsi because, you think about that, like this was like 25 years ago or whatever. And, it's Diet Pepsi and she's on this diet and she's doing this thing and she's drinking the Slim Fast and she's doing all these things. So you see that and, you don't think anything of it at the time, but now you look back and you're like, man, that poor woman, she was always like doing a thing, like doing a diet, doing the Slim Fast, trying the next thing. So do you want to just share your mission and your message a little bit? Uh-oh, we lost her. Technical difficulties, you guys. Bear with us. She's going to come right back, I'm sure. In the meantime, the work that Amanda's doing out there is super great. She's out there speaking with Girl Scout troops. She's out there speaking to, young women and their mothers. And she's really trying to get everybody kind of like in a place where, as moms, we can speak confidently to our young daughters when the issues come up, from, something as young as the fourth grade about, Mom, am I fat? Mom, do I need to go on a diet? Mom, this or that or whatever. So she's out there making it happen. Can you hear us?
Yes, I think the Wi-Fi that I was on was crazy, so I got off it. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I was just telling the world a little bit about what you do and about how you've been speaking with the Girl Scouts and you've been speaking to young women, like junior high age. And I wanted to see if you just wanted to like share a little bit more about what your mission is and what you're, getting that out there and, the work you're doing with moms that have young daughters starting, in the fourth grade and around there who come to you with, Mom, do you think I'm fat type of questions, or this girl told me I was fat, or, the things that come up. If you feel like sharing a little bit about that, that would be amazing.
Absolutely. Well, ultimately it starts with us. Like it starts with the moms, how we talk to ourselves, how we treat ourselves, how we talk about ourselves, or how even we talk about other people. It really comes down to they watch us and they see that. And then it's also like I work with moms, especially, and how to talk with them, how to communicate, because there can be such a disconnect.
Right.
You may in terms of I may be speaking to my daughter and have my thought behind it is completely different than what she's perceiving it. So really being able to get on that connected, that same level and understand, because sometimes, when you're trying to get your child to do exercise or go outside and do something, they take it as oh, I'm fat. My mom was making me go do something, where you're just coming from a place of, I really, it's great. It's beautiful outside. I'd really like to do something with you. And, so it can be misconstrued on that. So I work with moms, especially on talking how to communicate. And then it's mindset. It's a lot of internal stuff that you have to work on, and they have to work on themselves. And then to be that role model for their daughters. Our greatest role model is the same sex parent, the same, not to say that dads can't be either, but girls look up to other women. And
right.
If we're bashing ourselves, and we're constantly calling ourselves fat or ugly or disgusting, or looking in the mirror and being like, oh, look at this, look at that, our daughters are going to do the same thing. Our children, or even, nieces, granddaughters, whatever, they're going to do the same.
Right. I know we once talked about, the communication can be very delicate. For you do have, a daughter who you're raising, and I know something had come up about when my parents says, hey, do you want to go on a run with me? Or do you want to go do a workout with me? Or do you want to do these things? The impression that child got was they think I need to do these workouts because I'm fat, or I'm overweight, or I'm not good enough, or, whatever emotions came up. What is because I'm guilty of that too. I have a mommy and me class that I take the boys to at the bar studio. And, I'm like, hey, you guys, we're going to go do our workout today, and it's going to be so much fun. But it's I think about that story now too. And I don't want, I have two boys, and they I want to be big and strong like daddy and the Hulk and, stuff like that, which is all part of this whole thing. Right. But how do you combat that? Let's go have some quality time together, doing something healthy, as opposed, and making it in that way, as opposed to let's go for a run because my mom thinks I'm fat.
Just really be open with them, be honest, be for me, it's easy. I love running. I love working out. I love to do things. So, it's my way of doing something fun with them. It's quality time together. It's something that we get to do, that's fun. We get to be outside, whatever it is. And it's just it's terms of just being, this is something good for our body. We enjoy it. This makes me happy. It fills my cup type thing. Just explaining to them, you're not doing it because you have to. You're doing it because you get to, because you want to, because it makes you feel proud. It makes you feel strong. It makes you feel good. And that's the whole important part of our life, is to be happy and, make ourselves feel good.
Right, right. So just putting the, this is for fun type of emphasis on it, not we need to do this,
Yeah, take it from I have to I get to.
Yeah,
or want to. Not not I have to because if I don't, I'm gonna be fat and ugly. It's I get to because it's fun, it's energizing, it's just amazing.
Right, right, yeah, and I think that now it's it's funny how there's an evolution of this body image perception and body shaming and whatever. I think back to when we were younger, it was those super waif, emaciated, skinny looking models, the runway style models, the Kate Mosses and those type of girls. And now that's changed a little bit. I feel for the better. We have, but we still have we have regular size women that are plus size models, and they're just regular size women. So for me, it's kind of there's still a society stigma on body image. You have to have the flat abs, and you have to have the big boobs, and you have to have, the perfectly toned legs. And while I like that the evolution's going more towards fit and strong, there's still that negativity, I feel around it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's all about selling. Ultimately, it comes down to marketing for real. Right. Because they're trying to. It's something we've always had that in a human nature, that you just want to be in that role. The models and advertising and stuff always has the pretty ones, and now that they're going and switching to that, we still all compare ourselves. We all still want to have something different, but there's never going to be not wanting something more. You're never going to be fully happy. Like there's always going to be the next thing. There's always going to be something else, and it's great that they're going that way. But a lot of that holds like the BMI charts and like the size. Those are, numbers are crap. Like for real, get rid of the scales. Like the scale is the worst thing ever. And those BMI charts are ridiculous. Like they only measure height and weight. They don't measure any type of anything else, like your body size, your bone mass, your whatever. There's so many other things that take into account to that. We could all be on the exact same diet. We could all do the exact same exercises and not two people will look exactly the same.
Right. I don't like even coming from like a nutritionist background. I don't like the BMI thing. Cause if you're a serious athlete and you have, you're lean and fit, you might look like you're say 110 pounds, but maybe you're 130 and you would never tell by looking at somebody because you're so lean. Yep. But that lean muscle mass tends to weigh a little bit more and, or more than it looks anyways.
Right.
And that would throw off, your BMI. Nicole, she's popping on. Hold on. Nicole says, I had a personal trainer who was in amazing shape and was considered to be obese according to the BMI chart. Yeah, I remember that we did like a life insurance thing, my husband and I, and he's an athlete. And but he's not overly tall. And they were like, oh, you're like 20 pounds overweight. And then the lady looks at him and she's like, no, you're not. She's like, I'm just going to put that you're an athlete. And he goes, well, I am. He plays softball and hockey and whatever. And because she's just like looking at him and he's got like a six pack. And she's like, how is this telling me that your BMI is like overweight and you wouldn't qualify for life insurance? I was like, what the hell?
So yeah, I'm borderline. Exactly. Yeah, I'm borderline obese.
Yeah, and you don't have like an ounce of body fat on you. I'm not even going to try mine.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, so like 5 pounds of muscle is like this big. 5 pounds of fat is 3 times that size.
Right.
So the more muscle you have, the smaller you're going to be, but you're going to be heavier. When you get on the scale, obviously you're heavier. And I tried to teach my children both that because both my children are solid. Like they're just muscle though. You feel them and you can feel the muscles.
Right.
And they struggle. My daughter struggled and she finds ways to get on scales outside of our house because I don't have one in our house, but she struggles with that. So we try to I'm really trying to get away from the numbers on that. Like that's a big part of what I tell people is a number does not define you.
Right.
Not at all.
And it's funny because even like myself, it's kind of like that number on the scale. Like, I think we talked about this. I'm like, that number like haunts you. You know what I mean? Like, and if it's like slightly elevated or something, then you're like, oh, like you feel like a failure inside almost. And I know that sounds harsh, but I guarantee that probably 90% of the women who watch this video are going to be like, yep. If it doesn't say like 125 or 135 or whatever that number is, that we have, and whatever that number is that we put on our driver's license, and that's like the sad reality of it, that most of us can't just be content in our clothes, but then we have a number associated with that too. Like my pants have to be a size 4 or a size 5 or a size 3 or a size 7 or a size this or whatever. Otherwise it's too much. The number's too big. Nicole says, I love how you are so open about the scale and your weight with your daughter.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I used to be a scale whore. I'll be honest. I was terrible. I would weigh myself 5-6 times a day because I wanted it to stay under a certain number. And I would do whatever it took. And I suffered with eating disorders. And I went through the anorexia. I went through the binge eating. I would not eat for days and then I'd eat a whole pizza and then I'd throw up for 45. Like it was horrible. And, and that's, again, where a turning point for me became, looking at my daughter. I can't do that and, give her a good role model. Like, that's not a way to live. That's not a way to treat our bodies. So I had to mentally get out of that number situation and throw away the scale, throw away the, numbers do not define you. And I'm probably in the best shape I've ever been in my life. And I have no idea what I weigh. I just go by how I feel. I know what makes me feel good. I know what fuels my body. I know what is, for me.
Right. And that is, I feel like, and maybe like Nicole or some of the other viewers, you can pop on and give your kind of feedback or thoughts on this. I feel like that's what we all strive for. We all strive for getting to the place where it's like, okay, today I'm just going to put my jeans on. They're going to button right up. and away I go. I'm not going to have to worry about that number that's on the scale. I'm not going to even weigh myself because like, look at me. I'm like totally in the best shape of my life. And I think that we get that in our minds, but then it's like, the self-sabotage comes in and, because there's so much that goes into, even just changing your lifestyle, your way of eating, with, there's emotional eating and, all that whole like psychology behind it too, which I'm sure we could spend like 5 hours like talking about.
Right.
But like, that's what a lot of women aspire to get to, is that I don't need to weigh myself because like, here I am like killing it. I don't know what I weigh, but I feel good about myself and I feel good about, putting, buttoning up my jeans every day and not like, and even like, I don't remember what it was. There was like a commercial where it showed like the lady and she was like squeezing into her pants and laying on the bed trying to zip up the zipper. I don't even remember what that was about, but it's like, that's like an actual like commercial. Like you said, it's all about the marketing. I don't remember what they were selling either. Probably jeans.
No idea.
Maybe it was like Slim Fast. Who knows? I'm not sure. But I remember that, like, I can kind of like see it playing out in my memory. But that's like a real thing. Like the way that the marketing and everything else is like puts that kind of like, that twist on it. Cause I think every woman for the most part has experienced at least once in her life, like a pair of jeans that didn't fit quite the way they once did.
Well, see, and that's the problem. Like women too, we fluctuate day to day.
Yeah.
Salt, water, hormones, estrogen. I mean, that all plays a huge role in it. So going on a scale and weighing yourself on a daily basis or a couple times a day, it fluctuates from the time you wake up in the morning to the time you go to bed at night. Like it all is variable. Like there's no set way. Like never are you going to weigh the same every day.
Right. And if you do, that's kind of crazy. Nicole says, I go in cycles with the scale. When I feel good, I find I don't weigh myself as often. And I think the ad was Special K.
Well, good. Thanks for that.
But yeah, and that I think too is like something relatable, that like when you're feeling good and you're feeling confident and, your jeans are sliding on and you're doing all kinds of stuff, like, you just get up, you get dressed and you go and you kind of, you might take a glance in the mirror to make sure you don't have like toilet paper stuck to your shoe or something crazy. But, like you're not in that state where you're like, I've got to weigh first. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do all these things. And I know like some people use the scale as like a tool for tracking progress or whatever. But I like your approach of like, hey, I'm not going to weigh every day. Cause in a way, when you have that number so like firmly stuck in your head, this might sound crazy. It kind of is like self-torture.
It is. It's self-sabotage. Absolutely. It's something. Yep.
Well, and then it's like, okay, so today I weighed this and I only lost 1 pound this week. And that can be so like defeating, especially like when you're first getting started with like a heavy workout routine, whether it's super much like so much cardio or especially like lifting weights, your body is like holding on to all that water too, because like, what are you doing to me? It's like in shock. And so then you're like, I just worked out for 5 days. I can barely walk up and down the stairs. And now I've gained a pound or I haven't lost any weight. So you give up and then you start over. And it's always that Monday diet. And yeah, Nicole says, and hormone cycles too. Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure.
I got to run.
That's okay. I was just going to say, I know you're at a time limit here. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show. Amanda was originally going to be on later in the month, or well, I guess next month. And we had an opening today, so she saved the day. But yes, you guys feel free to put your questions in when you catch the replay. And be sure to hop over into Amanda's group if you are a woman who struggles with body image issues, and or if you have a daughter who you want to help along the way and make sure that she grows up with, the positive body image talks and get the advice that you need on that. So I'll post the link for that, Amanda, because I know you've got a jet. But thank you so much for coming on the show today. It was so fun.
Well, thank you for having me. Yes, I really enjoyed it. It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.